Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Ray's still in Paris. He's got his beret on. He's ready. Or Ireland. I'm not sure which one he's in.
Barcelona.
Okay, good. Good.
Beret Rojas.
That's right. Melvin's down in South Georgia, so
Yes, sir. How's it going, Jeff?
good to see you, man. Welcome. Rick, good to see you. Jace, everybody.
Melvin, where are you at in South Georgia? I got a guy down there.
Yeah, I'm in the South Atlanta,
He's
Fairburn
South
area.
Atlanta. He's not
Oh,
South
he's not.
Georgia.
He's not where Johnny's at.
Nah,
No,
near the city.
he's on the south side of the city. David, good morning, David. Henning, Julio, good to see you. Cindy
morning.
and Lisa.
Good morning.
All right, let me see if I could do this little screen share. There we go. I'm going to share my screen. Tell me if you all can see my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, we got you.
This is called the website, just in case you didn't know. Kidding. I know you know that. Just pulling up a couple little things here, and I hope you do this as much as I do, but I go in here, even though it doesn't update every day, I may log on 2-3 times a day and just look and see if there's changes. We will, by the way, from my mouth to God's ears and back down to some technology person's ears. Someday this is going to be live time. You get a recruit, boom, it's going to update. You get a sale and it actually gets processed and pays us out. It's going to show up here. It will be real time. I talk with LJ all the time. He always has these great ideas of what we need to do, and I'm like, I know, and I take them very seriously, and I write them all down because they're all very legitimate and where we need to go. It's just you can only do so much at once as where we are, but we are making changes and growth so fast. So look, this is just the last year. Look at the production. Obviously Trisha crushed it, but there's the top 10 in the whole company last 12 months. You got Brian Naranjo, number 10, Christian Cazeta. By the way, happy birthday, Christian. So everyone knows it was his birthday yesterday.
He's still 18.
He turned 19 yesterday, just so everyone knows. We're excited. No, he's lucky. We're jealous. You got that baby face. So you stay young looking longer. Ray Rojas, number 8, Powell. Good to see you, Powell, this morning. We'll be seeing you in a couple weeks in California, 148. Trey, 6. Dave Henning, number 5. Dan Ebert, number 4. But let's stop there for a second. I hope, I don't know if you guys are like me. I am a junkyard dog competitor. I try to hide it. I've gotten older as a person, and I'm trying to work on myself and smooth myself out, round off my edges. I don't like to be hyper aggressive. I think it scares the kids. I think the small animals go running. I don't openly compete like that, but inside I'm a maniac. I can't compete enough. And you look at some of these numbers, Christian and Ray, you guys are separated by 850 points in the last 12 months. If today we were on stage in front of thousands of your peers at a company convention, we would be calling Ray's name after Christian's as we go up the ladder in recognition, right? And so, but by 850 points, right? But then you compare Trey and David Henning on their personal pens. Well, that's 5,000 points apart. That's one sale apart. And then David and Dan Ebert, it's 4,000 points apart. So I don't want you to compete against each other. I've saw teams do this where people are aggressively wishing death upon their opponents. I mean, we're all in the same company. We're all striving to, have a great life. I mean, it's our mission statement to help people have a better life. But when it comes to the numbers, man, you got to get a little edgy here. You get a little competitive. Mika and Armand. Look at that. Mika's number 3 in the whole company. She was part-time, most of the year too. And Armand's number 2 by, 13,000 points, which congratulations, Armand. I mean, you're at the top of this deal, man. You've got to be, let me just see here. You got to be so close. Let me see. Yep, you're right at the 200 mark, huh? You're just about. Are you going to go over on today's cycle, or is it gonna I call him the Wizard of Oz. He's behind the curtain. John pops out at the last minute. Ho, ho, ho. So and so made this much money. He gets the numbers way before I do. But when are you going to cross that too, Christian? Christian's $3,000 away.
Oh, he's over.
Yep. Oh, is he over on the cycle?
Yeah.
Today, I don't even know the cycle, but so Christian's our newest 200K, second diamond?
Yes.
Man, that is fantastic. And Armand, you're right there, brother. I can't wait till you cross. By the way, I've been talking to more and more people from my former career in different companies, and everyone's watching us. I'm not you guys know me. You never see me. I never respond on Facebook, and I never respond. I make a post, or I have other people post for me, but I'm never the one responding because I just in my time I just got so much going on. I don't have time to get caught up in it. And boy, I have an addictive personality like anyone. I'd live on there and be arguing my arguments and all this stuff. But I'm not on there all the time watching what's going on. But there's a lot of people who are, and they're watching you guys and ladies. So I get asked all the time, who's this? And who's this Trisha person? And what's going on over there? And how's so-and-so doing so well over there, but they didn't before? And some of them don't believe the numbers, but here they are. They're doing great. And Trisha, look at that. By almost 4X, just the queen bee of the whole deal. The first one to officially earn the co-founder, the partnership. We may do it when she comes down for the women's. She's so busy at tax season too, and writing and recruiting, but we're getting the documents ready for her to buy into, actually own a piece of the whole deal and ascend, like the year of ascension right now. So anyway, talking about helping people achieve the life of their dreams, like our vision. So there's personal points. Here's the recruits. We know recruiting shows you the future. If the production and cash flow show you the past. I know we brag on it, we talk about it, we congratulate and recognize for cash flow, and we do it also for production. But make no mistake, if there was a crystal ball in this company, in this type of business model, the recruiting is the crystal ball. It shows you what the future is going to look like and what might happen in the future. And so you look at some of this stuff, and you got a whole bunch of people up here. Ruben's in the top 10. Armand's in the top 10 in this too. So is Ray, so is Dan, so is Christian, so is David Henning, LJ, Trisha. We got a bunch of people on here, and congratulations there on the personal recruiting. And then you can go to core team. The recruiting, like I said, leads you down the path of reason. Trisha Vaughn. So some people are getting obviously flanked a little bit with the half rule. It must be showing up here. David's number 2. Trisha is part of LJ's team, so obviously somehow in the system that should be a sub part of it. But there maybe be that APV rule.
No, that's right. That's the core. That's the core. That's the core.
Oh, it's core team.
Core, yep. Is exactly right. Yeah.
You got to keep the old man on track here. Sometimes I miss some of the details, but there's the core teams. With the core team tells you what the front line's going to look like later, right? So there you go there. Janine's on this one. Congratulations, Janine, with 40. Andrea's on this one. Christian and Armand are here too. Then you look at the front line. Let's just go there. You guys, I look at this all the time. There he is. Now LJ's up there because he is right this moment got by far the biggest team here. There's the front line. 296. David's right there, 239. Christian, Andrea, Trish is there still too. Dan, got these guys. Then you got the whole deal, the entire team. Let's look at that. Boom, there it is. And Andrea pops up because LJ and the rest of her team's under that. Congratulations. Boom, boom, boom. All the way on down, and you see it. And so it's looking good, everybody. And on production, let's just go there. Just want to take this moment because we're at the end. Here's entire team production.
Wow.
Boom. You get to see it. There is a disparity here, but obviously there's the by far the biggest group in the company right now is Andre and LJ and Tricia and that team, Christian. Then there's Henning's organization, then Ebert's organization, Armand and Trey's teams there, and then it drops off fast. So those are the company's teams, the teams of the company in this great, wonderful startup phase. But that's the past. You look at the front lines, who's building the biggest front lines? Here you go. Shows you a little bit of what the front line looks like. Then you go core team again, which you guys, my whole career, my base shop, it was called it where I was before. Now it's called the core team. It's the same thing. That is your farm league for your professional team. That's where you farm out of people graduate out of your core team into your leadership team. And I know we brought a lot of people into this company from other places and they got, crowned with leadership contracts that they may not have earned here. We all know that. But as time goes, the real leaders are going to emerge, and who's doing it is really going to emerge based upon how much they do personally. That's going to turn into a giant core team, and then that's going to turn into frontline leaders, which will turn into your whole organization someday. So you look at this number, and this number is super telling. You got Christian at number 10, Ray, Janine. Her name's being said a lot more lately. I think she's about to be one of the next ladies to get a ring here. I'm looking forward to that. Her and Maria. Trey, Dan, Mika, you could see the numbers, everybody. They're looking good though. And then obviously we already looked at personal production. So I'm going to stop there. But this core team, let me just focus you for a minute. This core team is your future. If you understand our building model here, which I don't know that everybody does, but if you do, what you'll realize is that's everything. That's your future of your business. And when we got started, of course, everyone's coming over. They got licenses. They already got teams. This is what they've done before. But the reality is people weren't building their core teams. And that's the future of every one of these type of companies. So one of the things I want to do here, obviously, is get our focus on what builds this business. Give me just a second here. I'm going to stop my share. Is my stop share? Give me a sec. All right. Are we back? Stop sharing. Can someone give me a thumbs up on that? Good. Thank you. So I want to get our focus as an organization back on the core team. That's the strategy. That's where people compete. Sitting back on my team, I got so-and-so on my team. And LJ, I could say this because you're here, but LJ could easily sit back and go, well, Trisha's on my team. Look how great my business is, and take all her credit for what she does. And he might not grow a big business. He may have one person that he gets a nice override on, and he sits back the rest of his life, and that's all. But he doesn't go to $1 million and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and 5. He doesn't have a giant business that someday he sells. It's nice. We don't want to ever take away the fact that you're one recruit away from changing everything. You're one person away from your whole life being better, but that's not a reason to stop. Your core team is where we want everyone to focus. So what we're going to do, and this was coming eventually. Obviously, I got some push from LJ. He goes, "When are we doing this?" And so we jumped on it right away. But today, oh, by the way, one last thing. Last 12-month rolling. I don't know if these numbers are 100% here, but let me just tell you, Trisha's almost at 6 now. So, you know how we're all like, "Hey, she hit 500." She's really close to 6. So
Yeah,
she's on her way to 7 figures. And I'm sure that's the beginning of her goals. When you talk to her, they're a lot bigger than that. But I wanted to mention that. And then we got, as we mentioned, the newest $200,000 earner. I'm looking at the 12-month rolling cash flows here, and there's people coming up fast. So we're looking forward to that. But I want to take a minute and show you something here today that I think is there was a bombshell announcement. This is the bombshell announcement. And this is, I'm so excited to share this with you. The accelerator program today. And John, I'll let John speak up a little bit here. The Vantage Accelerator program, everybody. Here's what it is, just so you know. We've created a new level in the company that we brought back the training associate level for people that want to focus on the organic market, the greenie market. Some people want to just bring in licensed people. And I think if you do, start them at the 65, that's great. They're going to come in at everyone that gets recruited from today forward is coming in at 50%. Okay. If they're licensed and you want to move them right to 65, that's your prerogative. If you want to give them a senior associate, that's your prerogative. If you're the MD and that's your team, it comes out of your pocket anyway, but you control your core team. But everyone's going to start at 50. It's going to give you the opportunity when you recruit that firefighter, that school teacher, that person from another job who's never been in this industry before, to challenge them to do something to get their first bump. One of the things you could do is just challenge them to get licensed. Another thing you could challenge them to do is become a client and get licensed. Another thing you could do is challenge them to become a client, give you a list, and become licensed. You could have them recruit their best friend, become a client, and get licensed and give you a list. You could have it be 3-3-30, 10-10-30. You could use 30 days or you could use 60 days. You, in your organizations, we do not want to tell you what to do and how to use it. We want to give you the opportunity, though, to focus you and all of your people on fast starting, getting out of the gate fast, and giving them a huge incentive to not wait. In some places, people are great at getting people licensed in a week or two. And some people struggle with it. Frankly, you might have someone on your team, and I've got them, where I brought someone in, showed them it, they're excited, they're not licensed, and we're in month 3 and they haven't even sat for the test. Well, I'm not giving them much attention, but I know for a fact if I needed some production and I wanted to get my recruiting numbers up and I wanted to leverage their life's contacts, maybe they would let me build under them. Now, as our former conversation went on a former call, I personally would focus on building them a team and writing subsequently people we already recruit for them, not going after sales in their market and having them feel like they've been ripped off or stolen from. You understand? You don't want to create that feeling of them. But if you recruit first, if you got me in front of someone, Christian, tomorrow you're my new recruit, and you're like, man, my best friend Trey needs to check this out. And I'm like, well, let's get him on the phone. And I get Trey in, and he's like, dude, I need financial, sir. I need help too. I want to learn about it. I need my finances looked at. I just got married. I just got divorced. I just had another kid. I just left the company. And I'm like, well, sure, we can help you. And I'll say, Christian, hurry up and get licensed. But you get credit for this towards your pay raise. By the way, it's a 30% pay raise going from 50 to 65. You guys understand that, right? 10% of 50 is 5. So 15 more points is 10, 10, 10. It's 30 more. It's a 30% raise. In most people's jobs, what do they got to do to get a 30% raise? You can even ask your new recruit, when's the last time you got a 30% raise at your job? Well, let me show you our accelerator program and how you can get a 30% raise in your first month working with me. Man, you got their full undivided attention. Forget about, all the hobbies and all the things that they'd rather do in the next 30 days. You got their full undivided attention because it's a 30% raise in their first 30 days. If you want to use, you can use a week. You could say, look, you have 1 week to do this, and then it's off the table. You could say, you have 90 days. Remember, if you're at the top of your organization, well, you get to determine how you want to deploy the accelerator program. But the fact is, you got it now. You've got it now, and you need to get with your leaders and decide how you could all be on the same page with what the qualification is that you want for it. But this, in my opinion, this is going to create a massive, massive explosion in recruiting for your team, more field training, more production, and more fast starts. And the more people, the more fast movement that this thing does, the more energy it has. And the more energy it has and excitement that's built up around it, the more people are just going to be magnetically attracted, and it's going to grow and blow up and go through the roof. Every time there was an explosion in my business, it was because there was an opportunity for people to get ahead fast. They could get ahead of their competition. They could get ahead of their former highest and best month, their former incomes. They have a chance to grow, and they know this is a huge opportunity. So I'm very, very. This is a strategic bombshell that builds your business. There's a lot of opportunities coming up, but this is a fundamental principle over my 30 years in this industry that has always been used to build the organic greenie market. Does it work in the license market? Not really. Not to the same extent. If I'm recruiting you from Northwest Mutual and you're at a 70% contract over there, 60, well, bringing you in at 50 isn't even going to work. You probably aren't going to do it. So I'm immediately going to have to offer you the 65 or 70 or whatever. So it's not for those people. Understand, you don't have to change your model. But when they come in at 50, you're going to have to put them immediately at those other levels. And you don't even have to use this at all. But if you're going to go build organically in the greenie market, which is how I built a $250 million a year business, then you need this. This is what it takes to work. And it takes a whole different skill set to attract people who are licensed from the industry versus people that don't even know they want to be in financial services and be in this model. But they both work. It's just not, we haven't had this piece yet. In year one, all the attention, truth be told, was on people attracting licensed people and former people. And by the way, 30 years of building completely in the greenie market. Over those 30 years, we had little hints of bringing in industry people from other companies. Always a headache, always a pain in the butt. They always have way higher expect. This is the way I used to do it, kid. Let me show you how I do it. Well, yeah, you're going to show me how to make 150 grand when I'm making 4 million. Like, come show me how to turn out broke like you and frustrated and scratch my head personally producing the rest of my life till I'm 90. No thanks. I'm building a team and overriding it. But every one of them came in, had all their ideas, tried to change the system, and then they end up leaving anyway. So I did not have a lot of great success doing it that way. Have some people? Yeah. Some people have had more success than I did, but I just coming from straight from me, I built my whole, how coachable is someone that doesn't know any system, that has never seen this before? You tell them what to do, they do it. Or they don't. But if they don't, nothing ventured, nothing gained, and nothing lost. But this greenie opportunity to get really building, and then just like everything, this core team focus is going to be beautiful. It's going to really grow your businesses again. So that's, are there any questions? I want to take a minute and
in the chat
answer. And answer some questions. Okay, so there's a chat going here. Let me pull up some of these chats. Thank you. It's totally up to you, David. What should the production do? Some people are going to use production and some aren't. Some might have a recruiting number and their license. You get license and do this number of recruits, you get it. So everyone's going to have a little different formula. I don't want to dictate that or recommend it, even on this call, everybody, because we tried to do this. You might not remember, but about 6 months ago, we brought this up. We were going to do this, and man, it was everyone's ideas. It should be 117 in 7 days. It should be 330.
Hey Jeff, can I just ask you, if you were to do it, if you're in my shoes, what would it be for you?
Yeah, I.
Good question.
No, that's all I know is what I've experienced in the past. Okay, what I experienced in the past is there were two philosophies around it. One of it was 3-3-30 in your first 30 days. If you get 3 recruits and 3 sales, you get this promotion, and you're not going to be licensed in 30 days. So you're going to have to give up the sales, but I backwards engineered the math. If you're at 65 in your next 3 sales versus 50 the whole time, because if they were 50 all the way up, they would make more money actually starting right now instead of 30 days from now. And I could prove that in their own personal sale or sales counted for the 3 sales. So that was one method. And another method was 117. In 7 days, if you get a recruit and you become a client, a personal recruit and a client, boom, we'll give it to you the minute you get your license. You get it. So, and we push them up with that. So 117 and a license or 3-3-30. It's up, those were the 2 things I grew up on. And they both worked, and they both have the philosophy.
So 3 sales, 3 recruits.
Bottom line, what we found is someone either doesn't. What's that?
So you said 3 sales, 3 recruits in 30 days?
Yeah, 3 recruits, 3 sales, 30 days. And we'd end up, I'd make all the sales for them, and I would get all the recruits. They would get the people in front of me, and I'd make it happen.
Yeah. That's typically what they do.
But it would keep me so active, and it gets that person learning.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you focus on the recruit first and then the sale, you're not going to upset your people. But if you go and sale first and no recruit, and you go past 3 and you get up into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're going to have remorse later by those folks. Someday will come back and go, you used me and took advantage of me. But in this case, I don't think that is the case. So the 117 philosophy is, here's the philosophy behind it. Most people do absolutely nothing, but statistically, if they start doing something, they keep going. So the lowest minimum activity is they become a client and get you in front of a friend that you recruit. And that's like, at least they did something. Now there's a chance they're going to actually do further instead of be a sign and die. When the greenie market, everyone, it's not like the license market. There's a lot of sign and die. There's a lot of people that sign up because they're excited and their friend pushed them, and why not? I'll just join you. It's $100 or whatever the number is, and if it gets you off my back, fine. But they don't do anything. So they sign up, and people get all these recruits, but they do nothing. Well, we don't want that. If they become a client and get one person, they tend to actually be stepping towards building a business. But the greenie market does have a ton of breakage, if you would, as a term, of people that just they sign up but don't do another thing besides signing up. So the 117 gets them out of the gate. So those are the 2 philosophies that I grew up on, and they both worked. Corey, I see you got a question. Your hand up.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Jeff, I just wanted to thank you for your leadership, man, and listening to us about this, because this is huge. And, just a testament to you and John's leadership about listening to the field. And it's greatly appreciated, man. This is a game changer for us. And I'm super excited to spearhead this and show you that this is really going to work. And this is a great play that you guys are calling.
For the whole entire company last year and the first couple months of this year, and we are doing fantastic. The health of this firm, the field's growth. You want to have massive growth in the field and take a percentage of the profit and backfill in the actual corporate structure and stuff. But that 20% pool is worth a lot more than you think already, based on the numbers I've crunched in. So it's made me very excited looking at the numbers lately compared to last year at this time. I mean, it's not even a comparison. That's why we're so early in this thing. I'm so anxious, but we're so early. There's so many emotions that have run hot and cold and high and low and all over the place. But let me tell you, this thing is cruising. And we're healthy and we're doing great. So, did someone else have their hand up? I see Jason and Dan.
Yeah.
Or no, Jason.
Yeah, Jeff. Quickly. So is the compensation plan that's already in place, is that going to be changed now, or do we explain the accelerated program separate from the compensation plan and show, all right, if you're licensed, you can come in at 65, but if you're not licensed, here's a new accelerated program that we're introducing, so forth and so on.
It's on. I think, John, you could step in on this.
Yep.
I believe it's already updated in the system, both back office. It's already, like, when someone comes on board today, you recruit anyone today, even if you were bringing in a giant 7-figure earner from somewhere and you had to start them at RMD or NMD or something, everyone still comes in at whatever the contract is, and then you got to promote them, right, through the system. John?
Yeah, so everyone that joined after about 3 o'clock yesterday will start out at 50%. Again, if you want to bump them to 65, just as an MD, you don't do all the signatures. You just fill out the form real quick, send it in. They'll bump them to either associate or senior associate. Not a problem at all. The default is 50% now. So you don't have to worry about, there's no demoting people back. That would be some logistical things we worked through from that standpoint. The new comp plan brochure was put up this morning, first thing at 9 o'clock. So you guys can download it. It has training associate in there, and it has the levels for the other tables as well. So it's all right in there, and you can just start using that immediately. So we're good to go.
And look, if we do it right, no one will ever use that 50, actually get paid on it. If they all get off to fast starts, they should be at 65 on their first sale that they make with their new license and appointments. I mean, that's what it should be. But this now gets into leadership. If you really get good at getting someone out of the gate and selling them the vision and dream of getting off to a fast start. And I asked people all my years in this business, in the interview. So we would do a presentation, like all of you. It doesn't matter if it was live or Zoom. They would follow up with a follow-up interview. They would come in the office. I'm going to tell you how we used to do it, just because I think we're going to get back to this. When they came in, they had a folder. Their name was typed up on the edge, and inside of it, I had an interview questionnaire, just like any other job someone would ever get. And I'd say, well, welcome back for your follow-up interview. And it was so professional. They would sit down, and some people, I don't know, Armand, maybe coming up in my base shop, maybe even saw it, and it happened with you. Maybe it didn't, I don't know. But we were recruiting 50 to 100 a month out of my office. Everyone did it this way. The person would physically come back in, be in the lobby, be brought back. Mr. Levitan's available to see you now. They would come in, sit down, thank you. And we would go right into, hey, great to see you, and the person who invited them would be present there. They would be so the inviter would be there with their guest, and we trained them. We had a form. So we had a process, not just a form. So they would come in and they would say, Mr. Levitan, thank you for your time today. I wanted to reintroduce you to my friend Dan, who was a guest yesterday at the meeting. Dan works at AT&T, and he's a manager of this department. And I think the reason he's here is because he's frustrated with his job, and is eventually looking to get out of there. Or, hey, here's my friend Dan. He works at the car wash and he's broke and needs money. So he exposes Dan's reason for needing us so that we don't have to sell Dan on joining. It sets the table in a way where we're in control of the interview, like it should be. It shouldn't be someone coming in going, I got questions. If it's set up properly, no one brings that attitude to the table. The trainee brings in their guest, edifies the leader, and then does the handoff. And then we sit down and say, well, great, Dan, let's see if we can't help you make additional income or get a better job or get out of the job you don't like or help you with the financial education you're looking for. Have a seat. And then, hey, we just start with, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, what you did in the past, and you have them start telling you about themselves. And then when they're done, you're using that to bond and connect with them in some way. Oh yeah, I grew up there too, or I know that. And you do that for 5 minutes tops. Then you say, hey, well, let me just ask you, yesterday from the presentation, what intrigued you the most out of what you saw and heard? Then they're going to tell you what intrigued them the most. And that's what you're going to close them on. Do you understand? They're going to give you the way to close them. What intrigued you the most? Oh, it was the money. Oh, it was helping people. It's always one of a few things. Financial education, helping people, making money. That's going to be it. Those are going to be the main ones. Maybe ownership, because we have that here. That's it. And they go, okay, great. Well, I'm glad that does. So what do you like most about what you're currently doing? What do you like the least about it? And then you're going to ask them that. And then you're going to basically say, well, based on, do you have any questions for me? And then you're going to answer any of their questions and just be really direct and right straight to the point. They already saw the presentation. Don't re-give it. And then when you're done, say, well, based on what you're telling me, I can't think of one logical reason why you wouldn't give this a try. You said you're not happy at your job and you're looking for something else. Secondly, you need to make extra money, and you really like the fact that we have a great compensation plan and we get to help people. So I'm sure you're probably wondering what your next steps are, because I can't think of one logical reason why you wouldn't do this and why we wouldn't give you a shot. And then you go from there straight into their getting their code number and signing up. And you get them coded right there. And then at the end of that, you know what you say? Welcome aboard. We're excited to work with you. Let me ask you this. Do you want the slow path up the ladder and make this into a career where after 5-10 years, you're making a real nice income doing well? Or would you like to look at the accelerator program and get off to a very fast start, which means you would get out of your job probably in 3 to 6 months instead of 3 to 6 years? You just set it up to where they say, please tell me about the accelerator program. And then you go, well, everyone who's serious about this, I'm glad you said that, because everyone who's serious that I want to consider working with wants the accelerator program. The people that want to go really slow, I usually hand them off to other people to work with. Then there's a privilege and an honor to getting off to the fast start. And here's what you got to do. Let me just show you this. There is a way. Let me just ask you, at that job that you don't like that much, what does it take to make 30% more income or get a 30% raise there? Oh my gosh, I couldn't do that in many years. My boss would have to die. They'd have to do this. They'd have to do that. See, if I could show you how to get a 30% raise here, would you do about anything I tell you to do, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical? And they'll say yes. And then you lay it out, whatever your strategy is. Say, we need you to do this, and use need, not have to, in all your communications from now on forever with your team. I'm telling you, it's a small thing, but it's not a small thing. If you tell someone they have to do something, half the people are going to go, you're not the boss of me. Don't tell me what I have to do. And they're immediately going to push back. It's just the nature of people. But when you say need to, it's not as offensive. Here's what you need to do. Let me tell you what you need to do. It's very strong, but it's not the same thing as here's what you have to do. You understand? So here's what you need to do. You need to let me do your finances so you could see what it is we do for people. And if it's appropriate, become a client. I don't know how you're going to go tell people to get their financial house in order if you don't have your financial house in order, at least on track. That makes sense, doesn't it? Sure. Then what I need you to do is we need to figure out a few people that you might want to be in business with, so that these people are going to be your referral partners. Everyone asks, where am I going to get my clients from? Do you have a lead system? Yes, we do. We have a very effective lead system. It's called part-time referral people. And what you're going to do is I'm going to do this for you. But through your market and people I'm going to find you 3 referral partners that are going to refer you business the rest of your career. You're going to split money with them. I'm going to explain it all to them, but you got to get me in front of 3 people that like you and that would want to help you, that might want to be referral partners of yours. Mm-hmm. And if you get me in front of them, I'm going to turn a couple of them into official referral partners and clients. And then we're going to give you a 30% raise. All the meantime, you got to knock out that license so that starting 30 days from now, not only are you at a 30% higher contract, but you also are in a position to really start earning. And then we're going to take off. And that was the method. Did that answer any questions for anybody?
Yeah.
And we did it like clockwork. Everyone had it dialed in. Now, how do you do it today with Zoom? Not meeting people not coming up. It's harder. You can't stage it properly. But if your person had someone on the call, they need to be on the Zoom. They need to edify you, and you need to teach them how to edify you. Otherwise, they're going to get on the call late and go, hey, Rick, my friend Janine has questions. And that it ruins it right out of the gate. You understand? I would need to be on early with you. And then Janine joins. I go, Janine, just before we start, I want to thank Rick for his time today. He's so busy. He runs a great organization in this financial company. Everyone looks up to him. He's one of the great trainers. And Rick, thanks for taking time to meet my friend Janine today. She's here because she really needs this. And I just took her from here down to there on purpose so that she pays attention and listens. You understand? And then I say, okay, Mr. Cam, take it over. And then he goes, hey, and then he does it. So you could still do it. It's just not the same as being face-to-face in person, but it works. And it's a system and it works. Then you launch into this, sell the accelerator program, get them off to the races, and you got something hot going on. It's funny, all this stuff's coming back to me. It's been a minute, busy starting a company from scratch and rolling around doing a whole bunch of stuff. But man, I'm getting myself fired up. I'm ready to do it again. I'm ready to have someone bring people into me and edify, set me up, and let me close them down. We used to only do that 5 to 10 times a day, every single day in my office. When my base shop did 75 recruits in a month, which you could do the math, it's 2 to 3 a day. 2 to 3 people a day would join in my base. I'd be sitting in my office and people would be lined up out in the lobby coming in. And then we would invite everyone to the BPMs Tuesday night and Saturday mornings. And then we do follow-ups the next 3 days. And as the follow-ups come in, they would do that. And then we turn right around and fast start them, which included them doing their financial needs analysis and becoming a client. And over and over and over and over again. I've not seen that here yet. I haven't seen anyone do that in Vantage yet. But it's year one. It's the startup phase. Whoever does this first and whoever does it the best will by far be the biggest people in this firm. They'll be the multiple 7-figure earners. All of you, no matter where you came from, if you came from the financial industry, you idolized someone or thought someone was great, you spoke their name all the time. There's this guy named whatever, Mike Sharp. There's this guy. You maybe heard of Art Williams. You heard of this guy Hubert. You heard of this guy Swan. You heard of this guy Patrick. Whatever it was, all of you bragged on somebody at some company before. And guess what? You have the opportunity to be that person in this deal. No matter where you are, no one's too far ahead right now. You come into one of those companies today, so-and-so, Swan's at 21 million a year, you're never catching them. So-and-so is at 11 million. What's that guy over at PRI, the Hispanic guy?
Willie Naranjo.
What's his income?
8.5.
8.5. So, hey man, everyone's saying his name. You know what I mean? That's what's going to happen here. Everyone's going to have your name on their lips talking about you. Whoever does this the first and the tightest and runs it the best. So, are there any more questions on that process? The accelerator program is fantastic. I'm so excited to launch it today. All these numbers are cute that we've done so far, but they're puny and tiny. People ask me that knew me from before. They're like, how's it going? I go, actually, it's going fantastic, but it's weird because I've never seen such small numbers in my life. It's been like 25 to 30 years ago that I saw numbers like this. And so I'm having to start over, and I'm having to like try to get, I'm trying to I'm trying to get back into the hungry startup mode. You know, I'm letting myself do it. I'm trying not to be too big for my britches, too cool for school. Been there, done it. I'm already a rich guy. I'm trying not to. Yeah, I'm trying to actually. I'm so tempted to get into the day to day. I just can't. I can't do. You know, I got someone's got to help run this whole thing, but I would love to just show people how fast you can go from zero to hundreds of recruits a month and people making tens of thousands of dollars a week from scratch. This is how it is. This is how it was done. This is how it's done by the successful people. And I believe some of you can do it. Now, some of you don't want to. Some of you came over and you're like, hey, I don't want to do that again. And that's why we have no recruiting requirements to go all the way up the ladder. If you're like, Jeff, it's sounding a lot like the other thing that I wasn't good at last time, it's scaring me again, don't do it. Like, just write, build a financial planning business, write a lot of good business on a lot of great clients, make a bunch of money and serve them. No one's going to shame you here for that. That's the difference. Here, over there, you got shamed if you didn't build and recruit. Here, there's none of that. Make the money, make the money. That's it. That's the end goal for everyone. If someone can go make $1 million with their own pen, go do it, man. We're going to celebrate you so big time. And if somebody's who's not that great of a financial planner, or they don't have wealthy clients and they just want to do what I did as a 24-year-old single broke kid, and all of his warm market was broker and younger than he was, and your average sale was $50 a month, but I kicked everyone's ass. I kicked the old guy with the gray hair who looks and sounds like a financial planner. I whooped them silly forever. Not for a little, not for a time. Forever they have eaten my dust and will never catch you. You can't catch somebody that has thousands and thousands of licensed agents with your own pen. You just can't. You'll always make a great living, but you'll never make a killing, and you'll never throw it down to your kids. Which, isn't that what we're doing here? Aren't we trying to leave a legacy? The name of my team at the last company was Legacy, because once I got myself taken care of, once I made enough money for myself in my life, which I did it in 5 years. In 5 years, I went from dead broke, a lot of debt, to wealthy for the rest of my life. Then I started to think, well, what's life about now? And I asked myself the very hard question. I was super self-aware. I had went through that landmark education. I was doing all this stuff to help me ask myself the deep, disturbing questions. And it came up with, your whole life is a short period of time in the grander scope of the world. And the whole question is, will you be remembered, and what will you be remembered for? Even by your own family. Most of you in here can't tell me what your great-grandfathers did. You never knew them, you never met them, you might not even know what they did. Some of you might, but most of you won't. Why? Because they didn't do that much. Luckily, they had you, and you're here. But wouldn't it be great to be remembered generationally in your family as the one who changed the course for the family forever? It was great-grandmother Janine. It was great-grandma and Lisa. Man, my great-grandma Liz made it to America from Romania and built a business, and now today we're successful because of it, 3 generations later. So then I started asking myself, how can I make my mark? How do I make I'm one person. Okay, I got a little money now, but I can just go live it up, or how would I make my mark? And my mark is by building something great that can be sent down and benefit generations, and then my philanthropy, which is I'm going to go save some kids' lives. I'm going to go save some orphans all over the world. Those are my 2 ways to be remembered forever. If I die tomorrow, hopefully that's what you'll remember me for. You aren't going to remember me for anything else, frankly. But what will you be remembered for? Do you understand? And so that's why I chose, I'm going to build a big ass business. And I'm going to do it right alongside my charitable stuff. And I'm going to include people that want to do both and show them a way. Let them go save a kid, and they'll be talking about it the rest of their life also. You understand, everyone? That's what we're doing here, and that's why I took that path. But by no means are we going to shame someone that doesn't want all that. If someone wants to have a nice part-time gig and make 50 extra grand a year so they could take that family vacation to Disney while they keep their job, fine. We'll celebrate that too. We will celebrate it. You understand? Because to each their own. I'm just telling you what I wanted in my vision and my dream, and that's what we're doing. And we're going to get back to that here for those that want to. I'm going to help you. You let me know. I'm going to keep getting more and more aware. Trey walked in my office and gave me his version of one of our old sheets, and I love it. It's still got the very, very old logo on it from years. We got to get him we got to update it, but I've got all the files. If you know me, I've got paper files. I don't know. I love my paper files. I got 22 cabinets full of everything I ever did before. That's why I can look up numbers from 28 years ago and show you what I did on Tuesday of 28 years ago. I'm going to find all of it, revamp it all, put it all together, and teach whoever wants to learn it. But then you're going to be it's like the Lord of the Rings, right? You're going to have to take that knowledge and that precious ring and what I teach you and carry it on generationally if you want to do
Hey,
that.
Jeff,
Yeah.
may I ask a question? I know that in the prior company, they would do a BPM. They would come and see the presentation,
Yes.
and then the agent will follow up with the new recruit, and then they would try to close them. The question I have for you was, or the question I have for you is, you would close them directly there and then on the AMA, or would you just do it?
So
I assume that's what you would do, right?
here's the process, Julio. They would get invited to the presentation. And by the way, we had a whole manual on who greets people at the front door, how to write up their name tags, give them a tour of the office, set them in the seat, what music to play in the meetings, who's going to stand up with this gregarious personality and we called it breaking the floor, and introduce the first speaker. We always used 2 speakers for the presentation so that we can hit a broader array of people. It might be a man and a woman. It might be an old person and a young person. It might be a Hispanic person and a white guy. We mixed it up based upon the crowd, and we had a half a dozen people that could give the same presentation just as well. And so we mirrored most of the crowd with who gave the presentation, so they felt like someone like me can do this. And then there was only one reason for the presentation. It was called a BPM, which was a business presentation meeting. Some people used to call it a BOP, and some people called it an opportunity or an opportunity meeting, or a whatever. It didn't matter if it was a business. It didn't matter. You had different names for it, but the whole purpose of it was to set a follow-up appointment. So if people came and left and didn't set their follow-up appointment for 24 to 48 hours after the meeting, you failed. It was a failure. The whole purpose of them being there was to set a follow-up for the next day or two. We would tell them, and we would close them with a takeaway. Look, if you want us to take you seriously, then you have to show us you're interested by setting a follow-up within 24 to 48 hours, preferably during the day in the office. And I know you're like, well, I got a job. I got to get off early or going late. You do it for dentist appointments, don't you? You could find a way to get off a little early or go in a little late. And this was back before remote work, where it wasn't acceptable. Now everyone can get off a little early or go in a little late and get in there during the day, 9 to 5, in the office for their follow-up interview. So they would come in for the follow-up interview, and then the whole point of the follow-up interview was to decide whether you were going to become a client, an associate, or both. That was it. And our ratios were 75% of the people that saw the presentation set a follow-up and kept it. And then of the people that showed up for the follow-up, 75% of those people ended up in the business. So it was a 50% ratio of the people that laid eyes on the meeting to the ones that became an associate. And then your associate to client ratio depended on how good the people were at doing the F&A. If someone was a good financial planner and they could explain it well, and they can help someone with a little tiny term policy or a real big rollover. It didn't matter. If someone had the chops, they would get everyone to become a client. And the ratio of associate to client, in my opinion, should be 100%, but a lot of times it might be 90 or 80. But if it's under 50, you're messing up there too. You're not making your people go through the process and become a client, which means they're never going to be good at getting other people to become a client if they aren't one themselves. Does that make sense? You can't refer people in passionately about something you don't believe in and you didn't buy into. And back then, my average client size was $25 to $50 a month. That was it. When I started my first 3 years, it's 25 to 50 bucks a month, and I built a tremendous business on that horrible sales size. Now today, the same clients minimally would be 250 to 500. It just makes sense. We're 30 years later. That would be a small client today. But guess what? You could still do a $50 a month something if you wanted to, which is, it's pathetic. It's horrible. But if that's where your person is, have them do it and become a client to keep your recruit to client ratio as close to 100% as you can. Have them have something. Does that make sense, everyone? And then you get these ratios, and then you start working these ratios, and then you get the model and then duplicate it. And then whoever's the best at teaching everyone how to do it and duplicate it. Now that's what Fast Start School was about. That's what these academies were, and Elite Circle. It was all teaching this stuff. And once you learn it, you just get more and more people doing it the same way and copy. And then you get another physical office. And at one point, I duplicated enough where I had 700 physical offices around the country. 700. And that's how we built a huge company. That was worth over $1 billion if I had done it somewhere else besides there. If I had done that here, I'd make 4 times more money. I would have been making 20. John did the math one day. We put the exact numbers through the grid. And what was it, John? 20 something mil?
Yeah, about 20 something mil.
It was,
and
4
you'd
times.
gone even bigger than that because you'd have kept going wider.
I would have kept bringing in more. I would have kept the base shop going longer and kept running it because you get rewarded here. The bigger you are in this deal, if you go have a core team front line, you get rewarded many, many more times than you did at the other place. If you're an SMD over there producing an SMD, you only make the generational override. There was no extra spread. Now you get the extra spread plus the generations. The higher you go and the higher your contract level is, you get all those points in between. Plus, some people don't get that, John. They still, when they come here from somewhere else, they don't get that. They get the 12 plus the 15, and they get 27% on somebody who's a new MD out of their base shop or core team. It's bananas. Where I was, you only got the 12. And it's so it would have been 4 times, and then forget about ownership. Oh.
And then Jeff, add in the NMD. If he's at 95% and training associates at 50, it's a 45% spread on his new recruits. I mean, do the math.
The maths out. Let me just tell you that. It does. So this is it, man. This thing's better than anything you've ever had your hands on, everybody. We got one more day in this month before we're done, right? Tomorrow's the last day of February. Let's close it out strong. Let's try. Like, I know Dan's sitting there at 23 recruits in his team, all worried. He told me he was going to get 30. I said 25, and he kept going 30. I don't know what he's going to do. He held a BPM last night, a Zoom one, but kind of the old school that doesn't work as good. Let's just try to do a Zoom meeting. It doesn't have the elements to it that I just described. So the ratios of success are way less. If it was old days and you go back, you go, hey, I need to hit this 100 or I need to hit this 50. Well, then you know for a fact it was 10, 6, 2, 1. You need to have 10 invites to get 6 confirmed invites, right? To get 2 or 3 people in the meeting and 1 ends up in the business. It was just a numbers game. And you knew the numbers. Everyone knew the numbers. And so if Dan needed to get 7 more recruits, he'd backwards engineer that, knows that he needs 21 guests to a meeting, and then he'd know that he would need to have 40 confirmed invites to do that, and he'd need whatever. So you could do the math. And you get whatever you want. You get whatever income you want, points you want, recruits you want, whenever you want if you did the numbers. So one more day left in the month. I want you to try today to get any sales and any recruits between today and tomorrow. Here's why. Okay. You need to start the habit of finishing strong instead of sliding into home plate and having your foot stop this close to home plate. You need to be running, standing, getting in. You're going to start from a dead stop the next month. Do you understand? When you keep starting from scratch every month, you can't build momentum. But if you go like this at the end of every month, you start the next month with this surge, and then you end again with the surge, and you end again with the surge. If you want to have a little slow time, bury it in the middle of the month. You want to end every month and start every month with a surge. Now, does that make sense, everybody? There's your pro tip of the day. And so finish strong today and tomorrow. Any last recruits, any last sales? You got an exciting thing. I hope you all have an emergency meeting today to talk about the Vantage Accelerator program, which begins now. That should create a lot of buzz, get everyone fired up, and we should be rocking and rolling. It's not too late to register your ladies to the women's event. I just want to let you know if they come down, they're going to be here at headquarters. I think that's a huge opportunity. Convention is right around the corner, and that's right after our cruise. John, did you get the updated numbers on the cruise yet? Do we know how many people are registered? You got to register. Isn't there a deadline?
Well, the deadline is when cabins run out. I mean, obviously, the contest is underway. I think they're getting the list today. They tell me today they're going to get it to me, but I think we only really have, I think it's like 20 or 30 cabins reserved currently. So we need to get that up. I can't wait to get the list of who hasn't registered, because there'll be some big leaders will be tapping them on the shoulder saying, "Come on now,
hey guys, you're going to want your team there. I'm going to be doing this type of conversation for 5 straight days to you and everyone on your team that you get in front of me. I may be in the pool with a frozen beverage, but I'm going to be having these conversations. People are like, oh, you probably don't want to talk business. Are you kidding me? That's all I want to talk about. You know, I'll catch up with you on how my kids are doing and how your kids are doing, but then let's get into it. I love talking about building businesses and building your legacy and creating wealth. I mean, I love it. But you're going to want your people hearing it straight from my mouth while we're on that cruise. So to get me for 5 days with my guard down, you know, that's it. You just got to find me. Which buffet is he at? Which pool is he at? Is he in the gym or spa? I'm going to be laying there with some cucumbers on my eyes, and someone's going to be like, hey, Mr. Levitan, can I ask you a question about the fat stuff? I'm going to take off one of my cucumbers and see that my massage therapist is one of your senior associates, so you can try to get information out of me. All right. Anyway, it's going to be a blast. I'm so excited about all this stuff. I hope you are. This is fantastic. I'm like documenting every moment in this thing. We're going to be talking about this 20 years from now, about these times. Easy, hard, rough, a little sketchy. We're going to be talking about it forever. So far, so good, though. To me, John reminds me, that's where I love John's wisdom. He keeps reminding me that this is one of the least bumpy rides he's ever seen in any of the startups. And I think it just comes from the wisdom of the people here that are on this call. And of course, John's got 40 years and I've got 30 years in this thing. It doesn't hurt. And this is the least bumpy of all of them. And we're heading vertical. So looking forward to you getting your 200, Armand. Happy birthday, Christian. And congrats on your 200. Let's get you up to 3. Those of you at 2, let's get to 3. 3, let's get to 4. Trisha's about to go over 6. We're excited about that. Let's go, everybody. If you don't have your ring, man, hurry up. Please. Get out, Janine.
She's over 6 right now, okay, Jeff?
She is over.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
I'm the last person to know about this stuff, but that's great. Congratulations, Trisha. You could let me know if you want to fly down before the women's event or after, or while you're here, we can extend your trip and make it so we can do the official document sign, all that great stuff. Okay? All right. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Have a great, great finish to February and start to March.